Welcome everyone. Again, if you're new to this, every week we do a live Q&A session to cover any fitness and health questions people may have. Feel free to throw them in the comments. We'll answer them as they pop up. If you happen to be watching on the replay, you can still put your questions in. We will cover them in next week's live session when we get going again. So this week I wanted to go over something that I've come up with clients, and it definitely comes up pretty often year after year with um, anyone who either because they travel a lot or they're moving around a lot at work, in the sense not moving around the office, but they're going from one spot to another for work, um, within a city, town, whatever. And essentially, what it's boiling down to is if you know you're going to be eating out a lot, whether it be for work, whether it be travel, whether even if it's just simply convenience. Maybe you're at a place for work where packing something in just isn't super feasible, um, whatever the reasons may be. Um, the strategies for setting yourself up for success, if we know that we're going to have to eat out, um, whether it's all the time, whether it's for events coming up, travel coming up, whatever the case may be, and you're still trying to stay as close to your dietary needs as possible. So we're trying to prioritize our protein with our meal, more vegetables first, and then we're looking if we have room for anything else after that. Key thing is, if you want to be successful, you need to go in with a plan before, not go in, start reading the menu, and then trying to make a plan in the moment when you're hungry, you're potentially short on time, and there might be other stresses and other factors working against you as well. It's better to have a plan in place, go in and say, I want this, this, and this, than going in kind of last minute or crunch minute or stressed minute. Any of those factors that make it harder to make a better choice and decision for ourselves, we want to be able to mitigate that impact as much as possible. So the biggest thing is you want to identify what restaurants you're most likely to end up at, whether it's restaurants that are around work, restaurants that are around home. If you're traveling, restaurants that are going to be either your hotel, if you're going to family or friends, around theirs, or if you're going to another work office for work, you want to see what's around there. Once you've identified what restaurants you're most likely to end up at, what I recommend to clients is identify 2 to 3 good go-to options that still allow you to fall as close to within your protein and calorie needs for the meal as possible. Maybe it's a place that allows you a substitution, maybe it's not, but you want to have those 2 to 3 choices ready to go before you step in the door of the restaurant. This way, you can go in, you don't have to look through the menu, because the menus are designed to kind of lead and tempt you into maybe less desirable choices for your health and more for appetite, um, triggering pleasure sensations and things like that. So the less time we can spend looking at the menu, the better, so we're not visually tempted into those other choices. Um, and you can do this whether it be fast food, sit down, mid range within that. Um, it can be done with just about any. It's just putting a little bit of time in advance, identifying those 2 to 3 go-to meals that still allow you to get your protein in, have some form of vegetable with it, and still stay somewhat within your calorie ranges that you need for that meal. So if it's lunch versus a dinner, you may have a slightly different amount of calories available. So just be mindful of that. Like if I'm going for lunch, I can have X, Y, or Z. If I'm going for dinner, that opens up, A, B, or C range for me, or vice versa, depending upon which meal you make your bigger one. Um, but it's having that plan. If you can pick, the 3 to 5 restaurants that you're most likely to frequent, and then pick 2 to 3 meals that know you can enjoy, but they still fit within your protein and calorie needs for that meal that you're having. It's easier going in with that plan. You don't have to open the menu. You can say, I want this entree, this is my side. If you know that you need to make a substitution, you already know and have that plan and ready to ask for it. And then you're able to just enjoy your decision, move on. You don't get stuck in that, reading the menu. You're trying to make a good choice, but there's, the inserts that are for specials. There's other temptations with the visual pictures and stuff. It's harder to make those choices in the moment, especially when we're hungry. We're potentially dealing with other stresses. Maybe there's some other distractions. Maybe you're with other people, so you guys start talking with each other about what you're going to have. The more you can mitigate those environmental temptations and distractions with it, the better you're going to be. So again, strategies for when you know you're eating out: identify the restaurants that you're most likely to end up at, and for each of those restaurants, in advance, pick out 2 to 3 good go-to options that meet your protein needs. You can get some sort of vegetable with it. And if you need to make any substitutions, if not, awesome. If you do, you want to have that plan going in. Yeah, thank you, Kenneth. Yeah, so it's really just having that plan before you get there. It's what gets us in trouble, and I've been guilty of this too, is you have that plan going in where you're like, okay, I know I have 600 calories to work with this meal. You start looking through the menu. Ooh, that looks good. Ooh, that looks good. Oh man, that's way too much. And it just adds to your stress. And a lot of times, especially like if it's lunch or like immediately after work pick, we're already stressed and our threshold for decision making gets diminished. So if you can have that plan beforehand, it mitigates that stress issue. And we just know, okay, I'm walking in, I don't have to read a menu, I know I want this today. And just again, you prioritize your protein, some sort of vegetable, and then you look, do I have any more calories available for anything else with the meal? If you can do that, those 3 things, and like I said, try and get yourself 2 to 3 choices with it, you're going to be pretty good to go wherever you end up. And if you end up at more of a local mom and pop where you can't in advance make those decisions, just know that that's what you're looking for first: your protein, a vegetable, and then if you have room for anything else, then you can add in either an additional side, decide whether or not you're having bread or something with it, and go from there. But that's the strategy that I use for myself. It's what I coach with most of my clients who have to eat out regularly with their either work or lifestyle. It's one of those things that a lot of us are overcoming some conditioning from our upbringing where going out to eat is that it's a treat. It's because it was not something we did all the time. So you're trained to think like, oh, I get to enjoy myself, I get whatever I want. And that's okay if it's a once in a while thing. But if we're doing that, 2 or more times a week, that's not really a treat anymore. That's our lifestyle. That's our habit. That's our routine. And we have to treat it accordingly, just like if we were making food at home. So I hope those thoughts and tips help everyone. If you do have any questions, you're watching this in the replay, feel free to throw in some extra questions in there. We'll do follow-ups on them next week. Until then, hope everyone has a great week. Remember to stay persistent in your consistent pursuit of health.